Hello, lovely humans. My name is Laura Martin, and today we are going to cover how to heal your anxiety without medications, because right now we are in such a moment of uncertainty and just discomfort, and you might be feeling a little bit more anxious than normal, and you might be feeling a little bit out of whack. And this is why I want to share with you some of the processes that I use in my programs, my online programs with Healing to Happy, so that you can amplify this moment and really use this moment as a cocoon as opposed to a quarantine. Like, this could be a butterfly moment. You can come out of it feeling recharged, healthy, happy, and everything in between. And the way I want to move away from the whole medication first approach is why we're going to be getting into this. But by all means, run everything by your doctor first, and make sure that this is something that they work with you on, because I'm not a doctor, I'm a certified nutrition consultant, and my expertise is in gut health and my background's in psychology. I have all that stuff, but work with your team of healthcare professionals. And this is just for information purposes only. So I wanted to get to know you guys a little bit more and have you reflect on what brought you to enroll in this workshop within this summit, what brought you to joining the summit, so that we can learn more about each other and that we can help you guys through this a little bit more. That'd be really helpful. I'd also love to know, like, what are your main health concerns at this time? Like, write it down. Be honest with yourself. Is it you're trying to get healthy? Are you trying to get happy? Are you snacking more than usual? Are you feeling a little bit more bloated? Do you have more brain fog? What's your main health concern? And what do you think working through that? And so today we're going to talk about gut health and how that's related to your mental health and well-being, because I am a huge nerd for the gut-brain connection, and we're going to dive deeper into that so that you can, heal anxiety and depression without medications, because you're not broken, nothing's wrong with you. It's just a response in your body. It's an inflamed response that your brain needs a little bit more love. So how do we answer that call with love and grace and permission to set those alarm bells down and feel more at home in our body? So I'm a huge believer that in order for your body to heal, you need your gut to heal. Like I said, when these alarms are going off in the brain, that means we work our way backwards. Maybe you have heard the phrase, your gut is your second brain. I would arguably say it's your first. And that's what I work with my clients on, is understanding how, if we want to heal the brain, we have to work our way backwards and in tune. So in order to heal the body and heal the brain, we need to heal the gut. So this webinar is for those that have mild to moderate depression or anxiety and are looking for an alternative approach. And maybe you've been trying different things, you've been trying different diets and lifestyles or tools or supplements, and you just haven't had any luck. And this is also for those that are living a stressful lifestyle. We're all currently in that state. Even if we don't currently feel quote-unquote stressed, we are. There's a collective weight. We're out of routine. We are asked to not be in a community support that we need. And that's so important. And this is also for people that are suffering from gut troubles, because like I said, of the gut-brain connection. So maybe you're curious about that gut-brain connection and why, when you're feeling a little more anxious, you feel also a little bit more bloated and out of body, or maybe you're not so hungry, or maybe you're more hungry during times of depression and anxiety. Who this is not for is those that are suffering from serious medical conditions. Like I said, run everything by your doctor. I see no harm in ever eating a better nutrition plan. I hate saying diet, but when elevating your nutrition plan, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you do have serious medical conditions, this is something that continue tuning in for and learning from, but run everything by your doctor first. Like I said, nutrition matters. It's something that brings you home to yourself, and we've learned from time and time again that food is the life source for us, for our communities, for our mind, body, soul. Nutrition matters, and I believe that so much so. To heal your brain, you have to tune into your nutrition, and there is no suppressing it. There's no using countless medications or supplements. That you can't out-supplement a bad diet. It just doesn't work. And you can't out-medicate a bad diet. It just doesn't work. And trust me, I've tried. But nutrition is the one thing that we can use to control our health, to gain back respect for our body and show our body some love and grace and permission. And I'm not one of those like nutrition consultants that's like, oh, macro, micro, whatever. Like, I hate doing the math of stuff, like, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I am someone that if we're looking at certain nutrients based on blood work, we can add things in, and that's what we're going to be diving into and learning about, because you know, you're in the right place if you are looking for an alternative, and this is something that's spiking your interest. And if you're someone that's just starting out and you're looking for something new, or if you're someone that has been in this, you've tried all the different diets, you've done quote unquote all the supplements, and you've done the crazy stuff that your doctor has maybe suggested, and you're tired and you just want something new to do, or you have some knowledge and you want some more, or you're ready to make this a cocoon moment. You know, we are in a kind of reset and realignment to tune back into the goals we set in January and rewind a bit and see how can we course correct and how can we really see what's going on and adjust, because you know, it's not about like getting fit and getting everything. What we're seeing right now is that if we don't have our health, we literally have nothing. Like, life stops, and we are stopped on a global level, and it's terrifying, but it's also a time to look in and be like, ooh, how can I do this a little bit better? How can I really hear what my body is trying to say? How can I really bring more mindfulness to this moment? So that's something that like I'm encouraging my clients to really look at, is just like, look at what you set in January and how can we amplify that, retune it, refine it, make it something you're excited to stick with, and use this as a cocoon so you can be a beautiful butterfly, you know? So today we are going to be covering some goody goods. First, we're going to be covering my 4-step process that I use in Gut Recharge so that you can be my like online course, so that you can become more aware of the process and how during this time you can tune into the foods you're putting into your body, and no food fear or anything like that. It's just a little bit more awareness so you feel a little bit more control in your emotions, because we're anxious cucumbers right now. So how can we get through this process? So I'm going to share with you the 4-step process we use in Gut Recharge online program. Next, I'm going to walk you through why so many phrases revolve around our gut. Like, I don't know about you, but when someone used to say like, I have a gut feeling, or like, I have butterflies in my stomach, I was like, that's so interesting. Why do people say that? There's a reason, actually. Like, I always got so curious, like, oh, why do you have butterflies in your stomach? Why do I feel my emotions in my gut? Like, why is that? And so that's where I become a huge nerd, and we're going to be walking through that. And then I'm going to share my top 3 secrets to helping you heal your anxiety and depression without medications. So stay with me through this all. We're going to run up to about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. We'll see how quickly I talk, and walk you through these stages, okay? And so how will this add value to your life? Let's dive in, right? Like, why do you want to tune in? So how many people do you think are suffering from anxiety and depression and mental illness? 1 in 20, 1 in 400, 1 in 1, everyone. It's actually 1 in 6. So 1 in 6 people suffer from anxiety and depression. And I happened to have been one of those people, because at a ripe old age of 13, I was told I was broken. And they told me I have a chemical imbalance in my brain, and my like curious self was like, but you didn't test anything in my brain. There was no CAT scan, there was no like, you didn't put a cool like syringe in my brain and was like, hey, you're missing some liquid in your left frontal lobe. Like, that never happened. But I went in, I sat in front of a stranger who I didn't even want to be sitting in front of, and he told me I have a chemical imbalance, and he told my parents, here's a cocktail of medications that she's gonna have to take for the rest of her life to manage this and suppress it. And I went on for more than a decade of my life being convinced I was broken. And broken people hurt the people around them. They hurt themselves so bad, and I felt every day that the weight of the world was on my chest, and I had panic attacks after panic attacks, and I didn't even know I was having panic attacks, and I wasn't eating because I was trying to escape it, or I was binge eating because I was trying to suppress it, or I was over-exercising. I surrounded myself in abusive and toxic relationships, and I just victimized myself because broken people feel broken, and they want the world around them to reciprocate that, right? Maybe you feel that. Maybe the world, you're pointing a finger like, oh, woe is me. Or maybe you see the world in, like, it just hurts, it feels heavy, and trust me, like, you don't have to feel that way. That's a collective, like, what the system is like, and what the Western medicine way is that they go, hey, you're broken, here's this medication, this is the only way you can fix it. And they have the medication first approach, and what they should have done is looked at how I was eating. You know, like, I was 13, I was eating Twinkies and A1 steak sauce as a side. Like, one, that's gross, I don't know why I was doing that. And two, like, I was eating a cup of sugar with like a spoonful of Cheerios for breakfast, and then I was on a sugar high, and then I would be emotional and I would be running around, and like I was told I was broken because I felt that way, and it's like, no, I was on a sugar high. And then anytime I had a cold, or anytime I had sneezed funny, my mom was a nurse, so she handed me a cocktail of antibiotics and sent me on my way. Like, that's the age I grew up in. It was the early 90s. Like, no one knew. I don't blame them. I don't blame myself. Like, no one knew to ask that question. Like, hey, should we talk about her feelings? Like, no one even asked. I didn't even know how to articulate that or question it. It was just like, yeah, sure. Like, this is the way it is. Sure. Like, I'm broken. I'm going to shove myself full of Twinkies. Like, no. But that's how everything works. Like, even last year, the NHS prescribed a record number of antidepressants. Like, what? And by the time, I mean, it's 2020 now, but this was written before the pandemic. Anxiety and depression are projected to be the leading causes of disability this year. And that was projected like 5 years ago. That's insane. Because if you are prescribing these medications, right, and in my opinion, the world is getting easier. Like, I can take my phone and I can order my groceries to my house. And like, I get we're in a pandemic right now and we're in this time of uncertainty, but you get to sit here and you get to watch the summit. You get to connect with people where, like, back in the day, I mean, maybe you guys have seen that meme where it's like, we're asked to stay home and like connect with our family and eat popcorn and chill. Back in the day, like, our grandparents were sent off to war and like gone through the Depression and didn't have food. Like, that was hard. Right now, my life is quite easy, and I'm blessed enough to have that, and I know that, and I count my lucky stars every day. But if life is meant to be easier and these medications are supposed to be working, why are these numbers on the rise? You know, like, that's what doesn't make sense to me, and that's where I got curious, and that's why I started asking deeper questions, being like, well, something in this equation is not working, and I don't want to take these medications because I got commitment issues, bro. Like, I don't want to take that for my whole life. No. And this is not to say that I don't agree with medications at all. Like, they have their time and their place, and they get you from A to B. I am anti, one, medications first, and two, medication as the only solution. And saying that, like, something is broken, or this is the only way to fix it, and, you know, saying that this is something for lifelong, like, I think there's short-term solutions, and they should not be something that is like, hey, you're this for the rest of your life, you're broken. this is it. Like, that takes everything away from you. And that makes you really sit back and think something's wrong. So then you have this horrible moments of just sabotaging your life and sabotaging your body and escaping and not knowing what's right or wrong or anything, because you question all your thoughts and you feel broken, right? Like, your brain is just on hyperspeed, and then you have something to blame it on. And like, that's the scary thing, is when you go, oh, like, it's my nutrition. That's the moment where you take responsibility. And that's scary. And that's what I walk through in my program, is like, that's the hard part, is when you sit there and you're like, oh, I can do something about this. I have to now take responsibility. I don't get to point the finger and blame anyone. I get to, I love that though, like, blamer. But I have to do something. I'm responsible. I'm not at fault. There's a difference between fault and responsibility, but it's my responsibility if I want to do something else to do something else. So that's what I'm offering here, is an alternative solution so that you can have something new, delicious, and fun. And so this is why I'm going to share with you my 4-step process on how to heal your anxiety and start making those steps. And this is what we cover within the Gut Recharge program. So I'm just going to be referring to it so you guys get what I'm talking about. Okay, so the first step is weed. And this is where, in Module 1, we walk you through identifying your trigger foods. Like, we all know what to eat to, you know, lean out. We all know what to eat to bulk up, or majority of us maybe know how to do that, or we can do a quick Google search. But we don't really have the topic of, like, what can I eat to boost my depression, or what can I eat to all this stuff, right? Like, it's new, it's starting to become a thing, but we're also forgetting that, like, it's not just about eating these new foods, it's also identifying what's causing this inflammatory response that's making your brain go like, oh mate, something is not right. Like, something is not right. Because that's exactly what depression and anxiety is. It's just this alarm response. And what you can do is answer it with love and grace and permission. And that comes from giving your gut a little bit of a break. Because what we're going to get into is with gut feelings is understanding that 90% of your serotonin, your happy hormone, is housed in your gut. And 50% of your dopamine, your reward hormone, that thing that makes you like feel good and satisfied, housed in your gut. And I mean, we're in a pandemic, like 85% of your immunity is housed in your gut. It's really important to take care of your gut. Like, it just is. I know I'm biased, but like, it's just so important. And so the first thing you can do is identify your triggers. And that's not just like the standard, don't eat sugar, don't do this, don't eat like caffeine, whatever. It's identifying also the healthy foods. Like, for me, my depression gets spiked by purple sweet potatoes. Like, what? If orange ones are fine, Japanese sweet potatoes, fine, but the purple ones, that's so annoying. And that's why, like, people are doing all those, like, IgG tests, and, like, I don't fully believe in them. Because one, after you do them, you still have to do an elimination diet anyways. And two, a protein from a cockroach and a protein from seafood have the same protein. So, like, you could be intolerant to a cockroach, but you think it's seafood. That's confusing. So the best way to do this is weeding it out and walking you step by step how to do that with the foods that you every day are consuming, so you don't get this unnecessary food fear. And I think we live in a fear of food era right now, and it's a little bit insane, like all the diets and stuff. So in Module 1, we're walking you through how to identify your triggers, how even the healthy stuff, the bad stuff, not so hot, super hot list, so that you can create a that's hot list for yourself. And then the next step is seed. So basically you're going to see that these 4 steps are like a garden. So before you plant anything, you need to weed out the bad bacteria, right? So the bad bacteria in your gut, you need to pull everything out just like you would in a garden. Next, you want to seed it. You want to take the time to tune into what are your eating habits. And this is where you get an entire ebook and walking you through what kind of foods can you add in to your day-to-day diet. So instead of just like focusing on like, oh, I can't eat that, it's like, oh, here's 1,000 other things you can actually eat. and why we have our weekly calls and why we're doing like live cooking demos and all that stuff to show you that it's not that hard, and to seed the gut bacteria in your body, you need to have the right fuel source. And this is where we're looking at whole, real foods. I know, it's crazy. And I know right now it's a little bit harder because we can't go to the grocery store. We can't do all the things that we're used to doing. But there are pantry staples that you can get, like legumes and beans. Those are the same thing, whatever. And frozen fruits and veggies, and using those tools so that you have a diet that is rich in fiber. Because just like the environment that we are so lovingly surrounded in right now, you have an ecosystem inside of you, and you want to have a diverse group of microbes walking you through what is good, what is bad, and you want to have a diverse plate to ensure that you do have diversity in your gut. So walking you through the different things to add in so that it does reseed. So you're planting the seeds so you have a beautiful garden. And then next, you have to refeed it, right? Like you need your fertilizer, you need to do all that stuff. And that's where the mood boosting shopping list and understanding what nutrients you need for your brain to help it thrive, like healthy fats, omegas, all that stuff. Like your brain is 60% fat. This whole war on fat, like, no. And also this keto, a little bit extreme. Like you need that healthy balance to help your brain survive and work from the inside out and the bottom up. And that comes from refeeding, because what we're going to get into is that you're made up of bacteria, and you'll have these probiotics, and prebiotics are the foods that feed the probiotics, and that's where you get strong and healthy, balanced microbiome, which means you have a strong and healthy brain. And this is where your moods get balanced, this is where your blood sugar balance out, your cravings get relieved, and you find peace. And these are all the steps that I've used for years. Like, this is something I wish I had ages ago. Like, seriously, I wish I understood this 4-step process, because once you learn these 4 things and you start to build them into your everyday life, you only have to do it once. And then you know, like I know now when I have a panic attack, or, I mean, I haven't had a panic attack in years, but if I feel a little bit dark and stormy, I'll tune back to, oh, like, what did I eat yesterday, 3 days ago? I'll tune into my gut diary that we use in the program. I'll be able to, it gives me my power back, as opposed to before when my moods were like this and I was like, I feel like a psycho. Like, I feel like my brain is going to explode, and why was I so happy yesterday and now I am going to kick a freaking dog? Like, it's getting those things in control and giving back your power, because you can identify what's going on. So it's not so much like, oh, I don't eat this because it'll make me fat. It's like, no, I don't eat this because I don't want to be kicking dogs. Like, that's easy for me to do. I don't know, it's just something. Okay, and then the 4th one, so we have weed, seed, refeed. The last one is repair. And this is the 4th module when we talk about repairing not just the gut lining and everything, but like your habits and how to make it a lifestyle change that sticks, because, you know, we like have a diet for X amount of days, and then usually around 3 weeks is when I see people fall back off. And it's this perpetual cycle of binge, restrict, and that's because we're not looking at the habits. And this is where the tracking comes in, and this is where repairing not just only what's happening on your plate, but repairing what the lifestyle factors are that are causing you to have panic attacks and feel anxious, and how do you navigate through that? Are you sleeping enough? Are you getting enough water? Do you have a routine? Are you calming your nervous system? Because that's the biggest thing, is understanding how all of this is inflaming your mind, body, soul. And are you doing a practice to deflame your nervous system that you're excited about doing? Like, your plan and my plan are not going to be the same. That's the thing, right? Like, that's what this entire online course teaches you. It empowers you to find what works for you. And like, I know we live in a day and age where we all want a quick fix pill. We all want someone to tell us what to do. But no, like, that takes away your power. And I don't know about you, but I want to live an empowered life. And that's what I offer to you and my clients, and for in this moment that you are watching this, to see that you can take this moment to become a butterfly and become aware of what's going on in your body and how you respond to it so that you can nurture it and answer it with love. And that's with these 4 steps first. So figure out your triggers, seed, repair. I did that all wrong. Weed, seed, refeed, repair. But, okay. And so now I want to get into the gut feelings, because you're probably like, I came on here for anxiety. Why is Laura talking about all this gut stuff? Okay, so let's get into my nerdy part. And I'll try and keep the dinosaur words to a minimum. So, how many percentage of human cells do you think we are made up of? I'll give you a minute. Like 70, 90, 100? We are made up of 10% human cells. We're actually made up of 90% bacteria. That's crazy, right? And so these bacteria control every single thing about us. And this is what I was talking about earlier, is like, have you ever wondered why we have a gut feeling, or we feel things in our gut, or butterflies in our belly, like all that kind of stuff? Because our gut, these bacteria, it's not just controlling how we digest our food or our metabolism or our body weight, it's actually how our genes, you know, like we can actually turn our genes on and off. Like, we're so cool like that. So we have these things called epigenetics. And so if we like to give our power away, that's just something we like to do. But what we need for a gene to turn off, like we always say, like, oh, my mom has this, my dad has this, I'm bound to have that. Like, that's what they wrote me off as. Like, oh, my mom had depression as well. I'm like, oh, you're bound to have it as too. And it was like, oh, okay, like there's nothing I can do. That's not true. We can actually, there's 3 things that need to happen for an autoimmunity or something to happen. There's 1, yes, you need to have the genetic predisposition. You do have to have it. 2, you need to have a pathogen. So something has to enter into your body that sends off this fight or flight response, and that's like turns it on, essentially. It flips the switch. 3 is that you have to have a weakened gut lining so that it goes through. So like, think of a tight stocking, and when it's pulled through and there's holes in it, you can go through. And so that's the problem, is that now we're seeing a rise in autoimmunities and diseases and allergies and skin flare-ups and mental health issues, is because we have weak gut linings and we're writing things off as like, this is just the way it is, and it's like, no, it's not. So you have that, you have what's happening on your skin, and I don't know if you guys ever go to my page, you can see like my body used to have horrible eczema all down my face, all down my backside for years, and it was horribly painful. I had no idea. I thought it was due to food. But your skin is your last organ of detoxification. So if you have something wrong on your skin, it's working your way backwards through your intestines and through your body. And then it's the foods that we crave. It's the quality of our sleep. It's our weight management. Like, are we at a healthy weight balance, or are we up and down all the time? Our immunity, our hormones, our sex drive, our detoxification, and why we're here is how we feel. Because do any of you have comfort foods? You know, like right now, are you feeling like you're eating more chocolate? Are you eating more pizza and ice cream and cheese and all this stuff? And what I addressed earlier is there's a reason for this, because 50% of your dopamine, your reward hormone, housed in your gut. So if you're feeling a little bit more anxious or out of control of your emotions or a little bit more stressed, it makes sense that the first place we go is we take it out on our plate. And when we want comfort, we seek it through food, because it instantly calms us down. And I don't know, like if you've ever had a stressful day and you come and you drink a soda, like you feel so good, or you have some chocolate, like you instantly get that hit, so you calm down, and it calms your nervous system. And just like I said before, is when 90% of your serotonin level is your happy hormone. So if you're feeling a little bit more sad and dark and stormy and depressed, that's usually when we see people emotional eating their emotions, and those are 2 different things that we get into in the program. But you get in and you want to spike your serotonin levels, and you do that from getting a hit from sugar, from fat, from carbs, because back in the day, that's what we used to need to get energy, like caveman times. Our bodies are amazing and we've evolved and we've done so much, but there's so much else that we need to be doing, and we haven't really truly caught up to that side of us, and now we're just bombarded with ads, or our fridges are so close to us, and we just feel powerless over our cravings and getting that serotonin hit, especially during these uncertain times. So it makes sense, and I know that, and I know it can feel that way because I've been there. Like I said, I had this whole rash. I swam through my swamps of sadness, in and out of suicidal thoughts my whole life. I can't tell you how many panic attacks I've had, how much emotional eating. I suffered from IBS, to the fact that when I was teaching English here in Thailand, my kids literally thought I was pregnant. They would come up and pat my belly and they'd be like, neem neem, which means like stuffed. It was after lunch and they're like, oh my, no, that's just my lunch. But I've had that all. I've had, hormonal imbalances. I didn't get a period for 5 years. My hair was falling out, intense cravings. I couldn't sleep. Like, my body was so out of whack, and I had no idea that all of that was due to my gut health. And as soon as I figured out what was going on, and as soon as I started to implement, like, that's exactly what the Gut Recharge online course is. It's everything I've learned over the last decade of how not only is our body always trying to keep us alive, it's always trying to keep us alive, and all these different symptoms that come up is your body asking for a little bit more attention. And that's why I really emphasize to you is that your anxiety and your depression don't make you weak. And right, like, we are in a moment of anxious times, but if you're feeling these things on a day-to-day outside of these, or even more so, like, stuff is coming up and you're on your own, and usually you're masked by work, but now you're just seeing how much more is coming up. Like, this is where you can't be at war with your body and win, and this is where it's a moment to really tune into your body and see that, okay, like, what is this alarm response going on? How can I nurture it? And how can I be a little bit more kind and understanding? So this is why you have those gut feelings. This is why, people feel emotions in their gut. It's not just, digestion and bloating and, like, little things. Not that those are little, like, those can feel horrible. But it goes beyond just digesting your food and all that, and that's why I think it's super interesting that we have so many phrases that revolve around our second gut, because our second gut, that was fun, our gut, because it is our second brain, and I would arguably say it's our first. And, like, these things are in constant communication with each other. Like, 90%, 80 to 90% of communication is actually from your gut to your brain. Like, you don't have to tell your food to digest or your lungs to breathe or anything like that. Like, this is all through this enteric nervous system that runs entirely on its own, and you can influence that, and you can calm it down, and you can nurture it by understanding this process, by understanding how your foods are affecting your moods, and how your moods are affecting your foods. Like I said, if you have bloating and digestion, this also goes for that. And so understanding how this gut-brain connection can be something that we use for our benefit, and something that is so powerful and so important and so crucial when we're trying to set ourselves free and welcome ourselves home in this time. So I hope that clears things up. If you have any questions, by all means, like, shoot me an email or anything like that comes up. And so we're getting into the end of it. I'm going to share my top 3 secrets of healing your depression and anxiety without medications. And I know this works because I've done it for years. Clients have done it, and I'm so excited to share this with you guys because it's so empowering. Like, it's so good. So, secret number 1 is why traditional medications and pills don't actually heal depression and anxiety. Well, 1, they're literally called suppressants. Like, they suppress them. They don't heal. That's not what they're meant to be doing. They're called suppressants because they manage it. And I'm sorry, I don't want to manage things. I want to thrive, and I want to heal, and I want to get to the root cause. So if we understand how our gut health all began, it started, although we are all unique and delicious, we've all started inside our mom's incubator, inside of her gut. And as we are born, we are pushed through the birth canal. And when we're pushed through the birth canal, we are covered in this healthy bacteria. This is where that 90% bacteria starts. This thing, so powerful, as we've learned, is now getting bypassed with C-sections, and we are scheduling our births into our diary, and we are, being too busy to have our children nowadays. And don't get me wrong, like, C-sections have their time and their place as well for medical reasons, but like, they're up 21% than they were. Like, we don't need to be doing that just for convenience. We are bypassing this whole system. And then, like I said earlier, like antibiotics completely wipe out, like, they're anti-life. That's like, if you think of probiotics, they're pro-life. Antibiotics are anti-life. And so they are completely wiping out the good and the bad. And if you're wiping out the good that you've been building up for years, that's where the problems start, and that's where you start to see things. So only take antibiotics if you need them. Like, if you have a cold, just take a freaking nap. Like, we're in a time where you can take as many naps as you want, so it's great. We have our Western food. We live in modern urban society, and that's full of pollution. It's full of, we're not in as much green. I don't know about you, I'm in Bangkok right now, so there's a lot of pollution, not many parks, not many things that we can go play in, so not enough dirt. Like, we're not getting dirty enough. And then the high levels of stress, and right now we are in a moment, I get it, we're in the uncertainties, and it's scary, and we don't know what to do, but we don't have to take it out on our body, and we can do practices of healing and feeling good and tuning in, and this all starts with nutrition for me, and that's what I really encourage you guys to understand. And so it's just modern living that's wreaking havoc on our body, and that's like, as soon as my clients have understood this, like, they've understood that, oh, I don't have to take these medications, and we've taken these holistic approaches, they found that they don't have to feel powerless, and they don't have to have panic attacks all the time, and they don't have to swim through swamps of sadness. So once we've been able to narrow these key points down, they've been able to set themselves free and welcome themselves home and feel empowered and know what feels good for them. So it doesn't feel like work, it doesn't feel like a diet. This just becomes a lifestyle. That's the biggest thing I want to offer to you guys, is that it doesn't have to be work. It's, of course, in the beginning, creating a new habit feels uncomfortable, but once you do it once, you set yourself free. Okay? Secret number 2 is how I am able to boost my serotonin levels in 15 minutes or less. And this comes from, I told you about the war on microbes, and like, right now we think bacteria is gross and we take antibiotics and we're so fearful of everything. And one of the coolest things that I've been able to understand through some science is that they took these 2 mice, and one of them was, they had healthy bacteria, and the other one was stripped of all bacteria, like antibiotics. And what they found was that the mice that didn't have any bacteria were had 60% lower serotonin levels. So they were 60% more sad. Not sad. But what they found was when they took the bacteria from one mice and put it in the other and gave them the healthy bacteria, their serotonin levels went back up to normal. So that shows us just how aligned, and if it is from a imbalance in the body from like food or nutrition or bacteria, you can heal it. You can do the work to do it. And that's what we're learning, is that if you have an inflamed gut, you have an inflamed brain, and it comes from bacteria. So that if 15 minutes or less is balancing that bacteria, and that's why in my course programs and in the online like meetups and stuff, we're walking through how to build gut-friendly plates. And this is why when I was talking earlier, is focusing on diverse, colorful plates, focusing on fatty salads, healthy fats, making sure it fights inflammation, and sticking to the rule of 5, which is like fresh veg, cooked veg, healthy fat, quality protein, and a fermented food. Make sure you got 5 of those on your plates and you are golden, okay? And so how it works is that what you do to your body, you do to your brain. So you don't need to be in the kitchen for like hours on end. And what we teach you in Gut Recharge is that it's really 15 minutes or less. Like, we literally have challenges like that where it's like, who can cook faster? So that you don't feel like you're in there all day and left behind. Okay? I'm running up on time here, sorry. And the third secret is that why healthy supplements are not the answer to when it comes to anxiety. And this is because, like I said, the gut is called your second brain, and we have 50% of our dopamine, we have 90% of our serotonin, we have 85% of our immunity. So you can't out-supplement a bad diet, okay? Like, it just doesn't work. You we need the fibers. We need the balance of soluble and insoluble fibers. We need the healthy fats. We need the quality protein. We need things that make our gut thrive so that our brain can thrive. And if we're not doing that, we're bypassing this whole system. And our gut is home to over 100 million neurons, almost as many as our spinal cord, and 30 different neurotransmitters. Like, I spoke about serotonin and dopamine, but like also GABA, like that's the thing that calms us down. And so if we're fueling ourselves with fast foods, or we're snacking too much, or we're eating the wrong foods for our body, they could still be healthy, but it's the wrong foods for our body, it can inflame us. It can make us feel like we're powerless over our brain and our body and our emotions. And this is where I really encourage you to look a little bit deeper into what you're putting into your body and do a little self-audit. Like, what's causing you bloat? What's causing you anxiety? What's causing you to feel like you're rushed? Are you chewing your food? What are your eating habits like? Like, I know that sounds like a lot, like I get it, but it's not that much. If you take it step by step and meet yourself where you're at, it doesn't have to be that hard. And that's why I've walked my clients through this, is that, like, I've literally had clients come to me and they're like, I'm not changing anything about it. I'm eating burgers every day and you can't change that, and da-da-da-da. And by the end of it, they're like cooking at home and they're walking through it. Like, it doesn't have to be this scary process. And like, the online modules are all about like the what and the why, and then we're walking you through with our weekly meal plans on the how. And so really tuning into, you don't need supplements. Like, you don't need to be, okay, you need probiotics, good quality probiotic, but you don't need to be spending thousands of dollars on like all these supplements if you're getting all your nutrients from food. And yes, modern society right now is stripped of a lot of that, so you might need some other stuff, but you don't need to be spending this much money on that, and they're not going to fix you. Like, that's the thing, is like, we can't fix something. We need to get to the root. We need to stop chasing symptoms, and that's what anxiety and depression are. They're just symptoms. So looking deeper and getting more clear on all that. And tuning into how you're eating, what you're eating, all that kind of stuff. So all this stuff comes into play as to how you're fueling your body. So the 3 secrets are: 1, why traditional medications are not the route. 2, what was 2? It was 2 is how you're able to do it in 15 minutes or less. Sorry, brain fart, right? Like 15 minutes or less. And then 3 is why you don't need to be spending thousands of dollars on supplements to heal you. So that is it for this summit and this webinar, and there's so much out there for you guys to learn, so I'm so happy that you tuned in here with me and learning more on how to take back control of your emotions and these simple, easy steps. If you are looking for more, I really encourage you to come look at my online programs, which is Gut Recharge online program or the Gut Happy Bundle online program. These are different ways of taking a nutrition first approach to healing your body and healing your mind using foods without like crazy dinosaur words or like anything like that. It's a huge community source where we have live cooking sessions, so you don't have to do any of this stuff alone. And if you have questions or anything from the stuff you learned today, reach out. My stuff is all called Healing to Happy. I'm most active on Instagram, which is LauraMartin_H2H. And I have an online Facebook community called Happy Gut Gang. So I hope to see you guys in any of those things. I am offering you guys a little discount into my course, so make sure you grab that and check that out because it's only limited to you guys, and I want to see you in there. And we have the time to tune in, and we have the time to get back in the kitchen, and no more excuse of like, I don't know what to do, or I don't have time, or I can't do this. Like, that's just an excuse, and I'm ready to walk with you as you break through that. So happy healings, my dear, and I will chat with you soon.